Let's get started. Let's talk about email. Where are you at? This is just completely your session for what you need to move forward, what you liked, what you didn't like, what. Talk to me. Nancy. Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I did fall a little behind. So, my question is, how long will the information be in the group so I can catch up?
So the group will just be archived. It will still be there. So you'll have it there. Did you get the tasks by email as well?
Yes.
Okay. And are you a member of Bodygraph Chart?
Yes.
Okay. So you have access to Business Mastery Hub. Have you been to Business Mastery Hub yet?
No.
When you are logged in, along the left-hand side in the menu, there's something called Business Mastery Hub. And
Okay.
all of our trainings that we do are going to live there forever for members. So people who are not members can, join them live and do the thing, but they won't have access to the replays. But you have access to all of the replays. So right now, I'm just I have to get the link for this replay into it, and then there's a Google Doc for each pathway with the access to the replay. So it will always be there that you can go back to. So I think you were on pathway 3 though, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
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 But I did pathway 2 also.
Oh, yeah. So many people
I was
did.
sort of in between.
Yeah.
So, Business Mastery Hub, is that in the Bodygraph software?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
it
in the
is.
website. Yep. Yeah, when
Oh,
you're
okay.
logged in.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff there. There's the webinar from Dr. Eleanor last week. There's probably some Amy Lee stuff there. The boot camps are all there. Anything you want to go back through, you can on your own time.
Oh, awesome. I didn't even know that was there. Thank you.
Cool, eh? You're welcome. You're welcome. That's a get us an Algus thing, not a me thing, but I think it's really cool for us. Okay, so what comes up for you around email? Anything that you want to go over while we're here?
I'm going to chime in again. I love the whole concept of the stories.
Mm.
I would love it if you could do a training at some point and take us through how to write a really good story.
Mm.
That would be really helpful because
Okay.
I have a lot of ideas, but I just don't feel like I write a good story for posts and emails. I can
Okay.
write a great story for a book. I've written lots of them, but trying to
Wow.
get it down into, succinct into emails, that's hard.
Yeah. We can
So
talk about that a little bit here. It's a small group, so we can talk about whatever we want, right? So if that's what's coming up for you, what's your human design? Just type
I'm a
profile.
6-2 emotional generator.
Mm. Okay, so of course, all of your best content is going to come in response for sure, and also what things you feel your way through as you go along. So telling a good story in an email is a lot about one of the mistakes that I see people doing a lot is not landing people into the story. So I don't know why we do this, but in email sometimes we just either we give too much of a wind up or we give no wind up. And so I've been editing a lot of email sequences for people this past few weeks. And what I'm finding is that they don't land the person in the story. So we just start talking and the person has no idea of like, whoa, where is this coming from? And I think one of the things that's really important to remember in email is that we don't have people's undivided attention as much as we think we do. They're probably multitasking. They're doing 16 things. They're just trying to clear their inbox. They're not maybe really focusing. So I think the key is like drawing them in and landing it. And if you write books, if you're an author, then but you can set the scene in all different kinds of ways. Like you can set the scene by time of day, time, like the year that it was, the sensation that you were feeling, something that you were smelling, something that you were picking up on. So something like, I can't think of the first line, but then as I look over at the avocado stove or the avocado appliances and the wood paneling on the walls or the shag carpet, like we can put plastic covers on the couch. We can set a time in
Mm-hmm.
history. We can also future pace, but really important to land people with us.
Okay.
So that's one end of the spectrum is where people don't give any context and just dive right in. The other end is that we wind it up and wind it up and wind it up and wind it up, and we bury the lead.
Mhm.
So always look for, if you're an author, you probably know this. This is a horrible expression. We have to find another expression for this, but in copywriting world, we call it killing the babies. So it's like all of these, it's a horrible expression. All of these extra words that are trying to explain the thing that when people are reading something, they really don't have the space for. So I always encourage people to go through their story once they get it all out, go through their story and then look at, okay, where did I actually start? Because it's usually 2 or 3 paragraphs in that you actually started what you wanted to start.
Yeah.
So there's that piece. And then in email, I think it's really important to focus on one thing.
Mhm.
Because do you focus on human design with your, like, is that what you're doing? Human design with people, human design with entrepreneurs? No, you're entrepreneurs, right?
I'm entrepreneurs, yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably your tendency because you're so far along in your business and in your human design space that you could unpack 6 things in one email with them.
Mhm.
And I think we did this with you last time, right? There were
We
8
did,
emails
yeah.
in one. Yeah. So really important in email, especially I think to break it down to bite-sized chunks and just understanding that people are really busy and they really want like something they can use. So how can this person use the fact that they're a generator to actually move their business forward in this one area, not the whole thing?
Mm.
And then at the end, inviting them to work with you or making them aware that they can work with you. Because I think a lot of times we fall into patterns of, and our readers maybe fall into patterns of thinking that we're just there to provide them with free content and free information. And it can be kind of exhausting. So letting them know that there's an energetic exchange there. One, I know I did this in the email marathon, but I'll repeat it for the replay. One of the Denise Duffield Thomas, this was something I learned from her a long time ago. She used to say, when you're ready, here's 3 ways we can work together. And she would tell them the 3 things in every single email. Gemma Bonham Carter, she has a long ass like thing of how people can work with her, which to me, it's like one of those like the confused mind doesn't buy, but that may be just me. Anywhere from 1 to 3 ways that people can work with you, I think is ideal. Another thing that I think can be really fun and important, and we don't do it enough because we get sick of hearing our own voices, is sticking to the same call to action over and over and over again. So say you have a report and you talk about it in an email today, and then you like 5 weeks from now talk about it again. That's not enough for people to really understand
Right.
that this is what you do. So just continually unpacking the same call to action till you're sick to death of it.
Mm. All
And
right.
that's another thing. Now, one call to action. Really, we try to do one call to action per email, per whatever. However, there are times where I think we just have to say, you know what, my people are smart. And if we're giving them a podcast episode and a paid thing to choose from, I think they can figure out that, hey, if I click on this, that, our people are smart. However, not giving them like 10 calls to action
Right.
in one piece.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? What's coming up for you from email marathon or email in general? Not everybody all at the same time. Or is there anything else that you want while you've got me here, that you want my eyes on in your business? Nancy again. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't want to hog the floor, but
No.
you know, what what should you be thinking about when you're trying to decide on your cadence? Like
Mm,
I think one day emailing every day, that seems like too much to me. Um, and I have people, I'm on their list and they email me every day and I just blow by it. I don't even read it anymore.
yeah.
So how do you figure that out? Is it just knowing your audience, or is it just taking a wild guess and seeing how it works out, or how do you figure that out?
I think it's a few things. One thing is knowing your audience, but I think even more is knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, I mean, in most of my stuff, I will say I do aim to be consistent, but as a mani gen with a lot of starting energy in my design, I may like flip around to what's alive for me right now. And I think that as long as we tell people what's going to happen, they're okay with it. I like weekly, and I really try to do, sorry, I like twice a week. I really try to stick to that. But there are times where it's only once a week in my world. I don't feel like I could commit to daily.
Yeah.
I feel like something would, and it doesn't feel like, I don't know if it was you who said that you also followed Kennedy, and I can't think of Robin Kennedy for a while.
No, that was me.
Okay, so they're in the UK. I don't even know if they still have a business, but I learned a lot of email marketing from them years ago. And they email daily, and it takes him 2 minutes to write an email. Like he did some with us on group calls, and we would time him, and he would write out like 10, like just boom, 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 just pouring out of him. I love creating content, but I don't really want to have to be beholden to that. So for me, twice a week is really great. Now, do you have, what kind of assets do you have in your business? Like, do you have a podcast? Do you have a blog? You have books, obviously.
Yeah, I have a podcast. I actually am I write articles for a magazine, so I kind of stopped doing my blog.
Yeah.
But I did have a blog. So, yeah, I have all that. The books I've written are just varied and, just like storybooks. So,
The books I've written are varied and they're storybooks. They're not just anything. They're a big
yeah,
freaking deal to get a book out.
I write a great story. I've been
Yeah.
published in 3 or 4 books where I was a
Amazing.
contributing author there. The kind of book where everybody writes a story.
Yeah.
But still, and I love to write stories, and I think I've gotten fairly good at it, but trying to make that into an email is
Yeah.
challenging.
Oh, well. So how often does the magazine come out that you write for?
Twice a month.
Okay.
Excuse me, every 2 months.
Okay. So the podcast, how often do you release a podcast
I do it
episode?
monthly.
Monthly. Okay.
It
So there's
plays-
2 emails.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can so something that you can do about with your podcast is, I mean, it's an easy email. I've been really lax on mine for the last couple of months, but it's a really easy email to just pop in, like, here's a free resource for you. I unpacked this podcast
Yeah.
episode, but also from your podcast episode, there might be, a series of 4 emails from that one podcast episode that you can dig a little deeper in. But
Mhm.
that's one of the emails that you could send, or 4 of the emails. The whole theme could be your podcast. You could be leading people into your world through your podcast.
Mm.
Yeah. But it's just basically, I think once a month is way too spread out for emails because people are going to forget you, especially now. The online space is so noisy. I think it has to be weekly
Yeah.
to stay
That's
relevant.
a good place to start. I'm only doing it monthly now, so.
So weekly is great.
And I'm missing a lot of opportunity because I'm putting everything in a newsletter, podcast,
Oh, yeah.
and
No,
they're getting
separate
it
it.
once a month. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm missing
Yeah.
the
And
boat
they're
there.
probably missing it too, right? They're probably getting
Mm.
partway through the email and going, okay, that's enough. That's all I can take for today.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. I think I'll divide it up and not do a monthly email and just break it up into smaller pieces. Then I have all my emails right there.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably have. And the other thing that you can do, probably depending on how timely your newsletters are, is you can probably go back to your old newsletters and pull and retell stories from there.
Yes. Yeah. Because I do a fact or fiction piece in my newsletter. I bust myths kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make
That's great email. Yeah.
So I think I just answered my question. Just break it up.
Yeah.
I'd have 4 or 5 emails a month just right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
You're golden. See how
Yeah.
easy that is, eh? Okay, Andrea, you said you were talking and you were on mute. Maybe you're still talking and on mute. Oh,
I
there we go.
actually was worried that I was talking and not on mute
Oh,
because I was telling Easton to put his head down. He was playing a game, and I thought I was unmuted and distracting you, and I had a panic attack. But I'm
Oh.
fine now.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, Kathy, anything coming up for you around?
Yeah, well, I've been doing all kinds of other things, and so it's been really nice that I at least have my 2 set things I do all the time that keep me in touch with people, because I always send out an email about my podcast, and those are now only every other week, but then I always do one every 6 days for the transits. So those have been going out, but I haven't really done anything. And I was just thinking today when I was thinking about all the things that I want to get done before Black Friday, right? Because I have people lined up waiting to see what I'm going to be offering, right?
Yes.
So I'm like planning out all my time going, okay, and I'm like, no, you have to plan things for life. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Pikes. I'm going to get a bush to plant in that corner, whatever. But then I'm like, oh, I was sitting here thinking, I got to send some kind of email because I haven't been doing any emails. I should tell people how hard I'm working to get all this ready for them for Black Friday, right? And I
Yeah.
haven't decided here's where I don't have clarity on things like right now. I just finished my 2 lead magnets, right? So I have one that's for brand newbies. You just downloaded your chart. Here you go. Here's your introduction to your chart. And then I have one that is for people who have known their human design. They might even have it on their phone. It's all those people that go, oh, I think I'm a manifestor. And then they're like, oh, no, I'm an emotional generator, right? Those people, right? Who like they think they're interested in it, but they haven't done anything with it yet. And why don't they trust their strategy and authority? And it's that one. So it's maybe even for people who are a little bit more beyond that. They're people who are kind of doing it, but then I ask them a million yes, no questions, and every time they answer, well, da 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 da, right? So, and I'm like, you have a divine sacral. I did not hear one sound that came from sacral. So now that I have those, they're right now on my chart generator. They show at the bottom, and I arrange them so they kind of go in an order of flow, right? But so far I haven't had Michelle Goat, the person who did my website, put them anywhere. We're going to assign them in the right places as lead magnet buttons, right? Like here, sign up for this. So my question is, do I wait till I have them in the right spot in a few days before I send out an email? Probably I could. No? No?
Well, look who you're talking to, Kathy.
Okay.
Do I wait till it's so perfect? Oh my God. No. You've seen me in action.
Yeah, you look surprisingly rested. I was thinking of you
Really?
that night, and I was thinking
Mm.
she's got to be dead, especially when I read that email of yours about you telling everyone to rest. And I was like, look in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I
Second look,
think
right? You had a
my
weekend, crazy
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, my Zoom did has doing a filter thing that I can't get off, and
Oh,
I'm actually liking it okay. But
oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, definitely.
Okay. So, because I know you had that big sale from your crystal
Three
shop,
sales
3 of
in
them.
the
Oh,
last 4
plus.
days. Mhm.
So anyway, so you would just send out, and go ahead and talk about that more like, um, yeah.
I
Okay.
think that people need to hear things a lot more than we think they need to hear things, and we tend to think, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to annoy them," but
Right.
we're the only one who sees 100% of our stuff. I love the
Well, it's
idea of
not,
you.
oh, good.
I love the idea of you telling them that you're like, I love the idea of you showing them that you're getting ready for Black Friday. I would be
Right.
doing that a lot in your stories as well. But yeah, sending when Black Friday is still like 2 weeks away. So
So,
even you
yeah.
could send 2 or
But
3
I did
emails.
announce on the top of my website, it
I
does
saw
say
that.
on November 22nd, because
Yeah.
that's my birthday, and it just felt like a good time to launch everything.
Yeah.
That would kind of give me a little, because so many people do that whole week, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that was yesterday. Yesterday, my business was 2 years old.
Oh, happy
My
birthday to
official
Kathy's
business
business.
was 2 years
Yay. I
old.
love it. Yeah. So yeah, I would go ahead and email them even though they're not in the perfect spot. And then something that will be interesting for you is like as you're telling an email about whatever that report would answer, the next step or take them on the next step is to give them a call to action to buy those reports in all of your things as you go forward.
Say that again.
So say that one of your reports is about profiles. Then every time you mention profile in an email, I invite you to invite them to purchase that profile report, even though you're sick of talking about that profile report by then. So just
Yeah.
continually keep talking about and using these reports because sometimes we, put things on our website and have them under our body graph chart or wherever they are, and then we think that they just sell on their own, but we have to continually tell people, buy this, buy this, buy this.
Sorry, saw a text come up. I have like a million things on my like, Google Doc with the person who did my website of like what she's got to fix on things. So,
Yeah.
anyway, saw a squirrel. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I also then was sitting here, with my open head or open ajna head, um, going, okay, yeah, I got to go back into my welcome sequence and put this stuff in there,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
But not all of the things.
No, but like the welcome to your chart definitely needs to be like in one of the first emails.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I also referenced something I took down, which was called the PDF with descriptions, which was a really ugly report made in the old, like 2 generations ago of, so yeah. Okay.
So in your welcome sequence, that's a welcome sequence for the people who are brand new to their chart.
That ran their charts. I don't know.
Yeah.
They ran their chart. So
Okay. So yeah,
I
so give them the
don't seen
same
it before.
call to action all the way through, and you might consider giving them a reason to buy it now. Whether that's a discount or a bonus, that ugly PDF that you could include, or like some other thing, because people need, like, we procrastinate, right?
Well,
We
so
always think
far
we can get it
the
later.
stuff that I put in is the free stuff, and the other stuff will probably be something the profile one will be the first, like the first digestible one. The one that I have for paid is the energy reports, which is really like way too much to suggest someone buy until maybe the last of my welcome sequence. Like, okay, if you really want to go deep.
Okay.
I have in there to buy I have that report that I made that I want to make prettier now that I've gotten better at reports, because it's still made with the old generator and it didn't migrate well into the new one. And that's the how to read your chart.
Mhm.
It's that $7 one.
Yeah.
So that's already in there. So update welcome. Okay. And okay. So then do you ever like when somebody has done a reading with you, do you have like a sequence of emails you do for people who've already had readings? Do you have like any kind of follow-up sequence you've created or no?
Has that been on my list for the last 3 years? Yes.
Okay.
I have, so right now, yeah, I have a lot of things that I have to work on in the back end of my business. You know how that goes, like a big list. So what I normally do is every year in January, I take a couple of weeks and I do all of that behind the scenes stuff that needs to be updated. So I have got a lot of stuff to do. One of them is like after someone buys the manuscript, leading them into the next step. The other one is after someone is in a reading or is in a business intensive, like all of those things have to be, yeah, zhuzhed up in the back end. But yeah, it would be helpful to have whenever someone purchases something in your business, like leading them to the next step, because it's easier to sell to people who've already bought from you. They're
Right.
going to keep than it is to go get a new customer. So leading them down the path to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing is important.
Right. Okay.
You're going to need that after Black Friday with all of these reports
Yeah.
you're selling and all these readings you're booking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. It was funny because just while I was working on this, the energy was funny because last night I was like, oh, I sold one of the quantum human design readings that I've had up there that, one of those sold last night. Like the energy of me doing all these readings must have put calls out to the universe, right?
Awesome. I love it.
So I don't sell very many of those.
In the
So
past, I haven't sold.
well, I think because people come there looking for my stuff, right? And
Yeah.
so when they see the quantum human design reading, and then I also wonder if I should specifically say this report isn't written by me. I don't say that. I just say in quantum human design language by Karen Curry Parker. So I imply it, but I don't specifically say it. But
Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head when you said people are coming for your stuff.
yeah. So you would probably say take that down at some point. Right now, I don't have a comprehensive one up there that's that detailed. I still don't mind having it there. It's like the last thing at the tail end of my stuff.
Yeah.
So
what I would ask is, for anything we're putting on our sites or in our world is like, what is it leading people into?
Right.
So what does a Karen Curry Parker report lead people into? Karen
Right.
Curry Parker world.
Yeah.
So you're an affiliate, and I think you are a
Yeah, I
really
have
good
my
affiliate.
affiliate links in the back.
So maybe there's a way for you to then, after that purchase, send something with your affiliate link in it. But like if we want to be leading them somewhere,
Yeah.
and I
You know,
feel like
that's another thing too that's kind of interesting with the way that Bodygraph Chart emails us about stuff. Like I don't get any notification from Bodygraph Chart that I sold a report. And I think that that could be something they could easily automate on their end, but I don't know how to do it because I just get I get a notification from Stripe of how much money they're sending me, and then I try to figure out what that probably was that I sold, and then I go to look, and I go, oh, someone named so and so downloaded this PDF, right?
oh
Yeah, but I don't get any kind of notification, and I don't think that's something on my end.
no,
You don't
mine
get one,
comes from
right, Nancy? Yeah. So.
I can go in and look and see when a
Yeah.
report is sold, but like you, I get the Stripe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
That
wrote
would be
myself a
good
note.
because that's a really hot contact at that point, and being able to reach out to them right away would be a really nice thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
But
So,
I'll forward that to the team that you're asking for that.
it's kind of odd to be on a call with, like, I
I
feel like
know.
we're getting all this one-on-one time, Nancy, right?
I know,
So we
really.
gotta ask good questions so when people watch the replay,
Andrea, speak up.
Andrea is her VA. Andrea is your daughter, isn't she?
And yeah, one of my VAs, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, she's online business manager, so yeah, she
Right.
takes care of a lot of
Okay.
the
I don't know,
details
was I
and
not supposed
background.
to out you, Andrea?
No, you
That's
can help me. That's fine.
Okay.
That's okay.
I just won't take up the airspace. I'm just here to help.
You claim your mom
I claim her.
publicly. Yeah, and you've inherited a lot of her genius, I can tell by just the way I've heard that you work. Just some of the
Thank you.
ideas you've shared. So, okay. So here's a question, Vicky. When you write these emails, like the one you wrote today, where you mentioned a particular 6'2" emotional projector who has their own podcast and did one
Interview
about
based.
right?
Yeah.
Who will remain nameless. No,
Yeah.
no, watch my podcast from that week. I will say, so obviously you wrote that recently. So when you write your twice a week emails, do you generally like write them and then send them right out, or do you have certain days that you schedule them? Like I haven't noticed whether there's certain days they come.
Yeah, there's no pattern. So I have gate 15, no gate 5. There's no patterns anywhere in my design. There's no patterns. It's just like break the patterns everywhere. I love to break patterns. In fact, when I was when I was launching my podcast, I had a team of 3 VAs at that time. And I had them like create this grid, the 9 grid. And they had to actually tell me, Vicky, that's actually in a pattern because I couldn't even see the pattern. So anyway, there it is. It's so bizarre, like so bizarre. So what I do is I batch. My creativity just pulses on and then it's there and I just write and write and write and write and write. So like Nancy was talking about, I think maybe even on the last call a little bit was like you have this email and you have all of this stuff. So I don't tend to do it in one email, but I might do a drop of some stuff and then I pull out the bits or I will write down in my notebook. My notebooks are terrible. I've tried to go electronic. I do have a Trello board, but I really like a notebook and I will just write down all of the things.
It's
Yeah.
like scribbles.
Yeah. As I go along. So it's like email ideas, post ideas, but they're all the same, right? Because a post can be an email can be a post, a podcast can be a whatever. So the stories that kind of percolate in me, I just like get them out and I will sit down and write. I mean, I think when I wrote that email that day, I think I wrote 6 emails. And then I just kind of look at my scheduler and go like, I just know I want twice a week. So this one will be a Monday, this one will be a Thursday, the next one will be a Sunday, the next one will be a Friday. Like I just kind of randomly.
Assign them.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
knew I wanted to do twice a week. Like I wanted to be really intentional to do twice a week because I wanted to fill up my Black Friday early bird list so that people would be ready for my offers. So like everything, even if I'm not, well, you get my emails, but even if I don't even mention my Black Friday stuff in the email, it's always like a PS right now, get your
Yeah.
spot on my wait list here.
I'm
No.
on it.
Yeah.
I'm on your wait list.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm always, it's rare that I would send an email without some sort of a call to action, even if it's not a call to action to buy. I'm going to ask you to reply. I'm going to ask you if it resonated. I'm going to send you to an early bird list, a podcast episode, something.
So generally on my podcast list, or okay, so I did the thing you told me, you suggested, because that felt good about putting 3 ways you can work with me.
Mm.
And but then otherwise, I like on my podcast, the call to action, I don't know if it really makes sense or not, but I say, wait, the podcast one makes sense. I'm thinking ahead of how I'm speaking. The podcast one, the call to action is to watch the podcast, right?
Mhm.
And then there's the 3 ways you can work with me at the bottom. And then the transit one I tell them if they want to go deeper, they can read more on my blog. And if they'd like to talk about it, they can join my Facebook group where we talk about the transits as one of the things. So they're kind of related, but 2 different ones. And then it still has that 3 ways you could work with me at the bottom in the thing.
Mhm.
So that feels like it's right? You wouldn't do like the 2, I don't think I need to pick one of those, and they make sense. I mean, people are smart, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So my Facebook group has not really been very active lately, I've noticed. But I think that's because people are like avoiding Facebook in general. But I noticed that like when it says, like it'll tell you how many people it showed your post to. Like my last
Ridiculous.
time I looked at my transit post, it says seen by 48 people or something. And I was like, what the hell? Seriously? You know? So I don't know. And so then I'm thinking that's another thing I want to like, and you don't have any of your groups where you have to give your email to join, right? I know some people do that.
No, I don't have it. When I do have it on in a group, I put it as an option.
Yeah.
And just because I really don't want people on my email list who don't want to be there.
Yeah.
The Facebook group thing, I'm finding that across all of the groups that either I'm in or I'm an admin of, is that the reach is really, really low, and it has been for a few months. So I would normally say, oh, okay, well, that's a Black Friday thing, because we know that that's going to happen as we get closer to holiday season. The reach is going to go down. But it has been happening in groups and like everybody's talking about it in every group I'm in. They're like in business groups, what is going on, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's a thing. I had a question about your podcast. Do people watch your podcasts or do they listen to your podcasts? Both. Do you know what the stats are?
Both. I probably have about half and half.
Okay.
Although this last one, where I did it's the solo one, the numbers were really low for the podcast compared to they were pretty typical, I think, I need to go look, but I mean, they weren't that bad for the videos, but I was like, okay, I guess nobody cared about me being tired. I don't know. I
Well,
thought it was good and it was shorter, so you would think people would be willing to at least check it out, but what were you gonna say?
what was I going to say? Okay, so one of the things that I have around that is, does your guest typically promote the episode as well?
It depends on the guest. I'd like them to, but sometimes I've found that they don't.
Yeah, I know
And I
that
still
sucks.
have decent things. And I wanted to tell you, you are now number 3 in my podcast listens behind the 2 episodes with Chetan Parkin.
Holy,
So
wow.
you're up there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
probably because I've talked about it in all these groups where people like you.
Yeah.
So But it was a really good podcast, I thought.
Yeah.
It was a good episode. So anyway, you
Okay.
had good stuff in there.
Well, I was just wondering about the podcast. If people do promote, that could be why that episode went down. It also is a change for your people, right? If they're used to having guests in, and then that now, like, it doesn't mean that it's bad, but it's a little bit of a change. It's a little bit of a jolt
Right.
for them to be like, okay, this is a little bit different here.
Yeah,
But I wonder how much did you talk about that episode?
not
Did you
much because I
promote
was
it a lot?
tired
Yeah,
and I was
exactly.
stressed. And even
And
when I went to go do a reel about it, I didn't make a reel about it because everything just felt weird, because it's that whole second line. Like, I needed somebody else to tell me what was a good part for the reel for that, because it was, I can't see what the juicy bits that I said were, right?
Yeah. I hear you. Yep.
So,
So, another thing about podcast episodes, I think that we all need to remember who have podcasts, is that it's not just like, okay, well, I didn't get the listenership this week that I wanted, because I love podcasting, because those are things we link to in our emails. So when you're talking, Kathy, about rest in your emails, you're talking about a transit that means that we're going to need more rest or anything, you can pop that episode in there. So
Yeah, that's
we
true.
should, I hate that word, but we should be using our podcasts as assets in our business that we keep pointing people towards.
Actually, I'm just looking again, and the video is very comparable. Like, it has almost as many views as the one from 2 weeks before it, which
There you go.
either one of those were great views because that person didn't share it.
Yeah.
What I have been doing now, though, is when I share the reels, I invite them to collaborate. So at least it shows the reel to their audience. They don't have to share anything or do anything. So
If they say yes to
Yes.
collaborate. Yeah.
yeah, I've only had, and I always tell them I'm going to do that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's what I've been doing now. And that seems to be okay. Some people are really not on social media enough. So I have to kind of, hey, can you go and accept this collaboration?
Yeah.
But if they're not on social media a lot, then that means people don't really see it anyway, because nobody's really watching them if they're not on there normally.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it's important. I think I've with my own podcast, my solo like I have done interviews didn't start out doing interviews, and then I did a few, and they never go as well as my solo episodes. My solo episodes always skyrocket over interview episode or over any kind of a guest episode. So I've really stopped doing them. But the other thing is that I get really pissed off because people are not good guests. They do not, like, you've given them airspace, you've given them a spot on your website forever, a spot on your blog, all of this stuff. You've promoted them, and then they are crickets about it. And that annoys the hell out of me, because it's like,
well, I wasn't crickets about it.
no,
I know.
definitely not. No, but it's important for people to
Right.
understand what makes a good guest. So that can be a good framework for us to set up for them. Like, if you
Yeah.
are here going to be a guest, well, actually, Andrea did up a contract for me for this, that like, these are the requirements of being a guest on my podcast. And one of the things that she does is that you start talking about it before the interview, or you don't get interviewed. And I'm
Ooh.
like, yeah, because they can go in their stories, right? Hey,
Right.
Nancy, I just was invited to be a guest on XYZ podcast. I'm excited because it focuses on this topic, and this is what I'm going to bring. Stay tuned. And like, they can do a couple of things before they even get live on the interview. And Kathy looks like she's going to burst with wanting to say something.
No, I was just
Oh.
thinking about how I should make sure because now that I'm recording them ahead of time, that can be something I can say. I'd love if you go on and say and put something out there that we recorded,
Yeah.
because like tomorrow I'm interviewing Karen McCullen, and this has been funny because this was the first podcast I ever canceled was with her. And she was so cool about it that, I mean, like, it was one of those things where like the universe, it was when do you remember back in July when my daughter's air conditioning was out over 4th of July for 5 days in Florida heat?
Yeah.
And we finally went to the beach, to a beach resort or something, because we couldn't get another hotel anywhere cheaper. So I'm like at this resort spending way too much money, and they had crappy Wi-Fi because it was all like full of everything. I couldn't find a place to record it. And I'm talking to everybody online about where could I do it? And people are telling me all these solutions. And all of a sudden I realized, oh, I don't want a solution. I don't want to do this. Like, it was really fun. And so that was like a really good role model experience. So, that would be, it'll be, there'll be lots to talk about for sure, even
Cool.
to it. So hopefully it goes through, because she's funny. She moved to Cuba. Do you know who she is? She's mostly on YouTube. I mean, she's on Facebook, but mostly that's just like her personal thing. But she moved to Cuba and she's from Canada somewhere. So,
Oh, I should know her.
She just had to leave. Yeah, there you go. She's from Canada. You don't know all the human design people in Canada?
Well,
Um,
speaking of podcasts, I have to run because I'm interviewing somebody at 11 o'clock. So
Yay.
Yay,
Good for
have
you.
fun.
thanks for your help.
Have
Have
fun.
fun.
Nice to
Okay.
meet you, Kathy. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Okay, well, so then I know this is supposed to be an hour thing, but you probably could use a break. And although
Yeah,
part of me is like, wow, I'm getting a one-on-one hour session with Vicky, although your second line is probably like, let's just make this short. So
no, I just want to make sure that we keep that we
stay a
get the
little
stuff
bit
we
up.
need, and
Yeah,
yeah, we'll be good. It'll be the
So-
replay will be up in the Business Mastery Hub.
yeah. So as far as, but honestly, with this, because of everything that was going on, I didn't write a lot of these emails, as you said, to do them, but I did read all the things and, process the things. So just it's a matter of deciding so if because like I don't like to inundate people with a ton of emails, but I do think if I have a cadence of sending out an email on a Monday for a podcast, I could probably do one on the other Monday for just a regular email, and then maybe do one other one in the week. But that, or at least just get in the habit of putting that in first, right? As an additional one, like just have it be that there's always a Monday email.
Yeah.
Would be a way to start easy. So today's Monday. Ooh, that means I got to write one.
But you could
So-
talk about because today I'm getting ready to interview Karen, whatever you said her name was, and would you believe that she's the person that I canceled on before, and then why you did that, and how it's important for you to role model.
Oh, and then I didn't even say we canceled again another time. Like there was another time that she was scheduled, and I realized, I rescheduled her for the weekend that I was going to be at. Then I wound up deciding to go to HDHD, the Human Design Conference.
Yeah.
So then I was like, can we reschedule? And she's like, sure. She was so cool about everything. But anyway, yeah. So it'll be.
So there's a story there that you could tell.
Yeah.
And like flip it to how other people can honor themselves, or
Yeah.
whatever the lesson is for you.
Well, and that's also, maybe that's what I'll talk about, is the idea of how great it is when you are communicating with people who honor their own authority, because they completely allow you to honor yours. And that's one of the things that I talk about with the whole idea of radical self-trust, is when we completely trust ourselves, we allow other people to trust themselves in a way that, is really beautiful, right? So that's a post right there, or that's a post and an email. So
Yeah.
when you do a post and an email, do you think it matters which you do first?
No.
No.
So sometimes I will go back through my Instagram and look at posts that have done well, and I'm looking for something that ignites a response in me, and then I will make that longer into an email. And sometimes I will take a post or 3 from an email. So I think it's just like a circle, though, how we repurpose.
Yeah. Okay.
All
right. So if anyone's listening to this and you're on my email,
yeah.
hopefully you got an email from me tonight.
On Monday, yeah.
And I didn't blow it off.
What was the other thing I was thinking of about that? If one of your reports is ready that would tie into that inner authority lesson, you could put the link to buy that in there.
Yeah.
That could be your call to
Yeah,
action.
the radical self-trust new one would be.
Yeah.
Because that's all about trusting your authority. Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
Okay. Nice to see you.
You too.
All right.
All right.
Talk
Get some
soon.
rest.
Bye.
All right. Bye.